This is my 6th year living in Canada after moving from Singapore, and while every place has its pros and cons, in this video I want to share with you the top 4 reasons of why I think you should not move to Canada based on my research as well as my first and second-hand experience. Hey friends, welcome back to the channel. My name is Febby, and on this channel I share stories and lessons from my nonlinear life journey to help you navigate yours and feel less alone in the process. In today's video, as I mentioned at the beginning, I want to share the 4 top reasons of why I think you should not move to Canada. This video is for you if you are considering making a move to Canada, or if you're already in Canada and facing similar challenges with what I'm about to share in this video. At the end of the video, I'll share my personal thoughts as well and how I personally feel about the so-called downsides that I'll be sharing in this video. Number 1 is unaffordable housing. Big cities in Canada, which are the target cities for newcomers and immigrants like Vancouver and Toronto, have been named impossibly unaffordable. And this definition is based on the comparison between the median house prices and median household income. A 2024 report by Chapman University in California analyzed median house prices alongside median household incomes, comparing 94 cities across 8 countries, including Australia, Canada, China, Ireland, New Zealand, Singapore, the UK, and the United States. Hong Kong was crowned the most unaffordable, followed by Sydney in Australia and then Vancouver. I personally live in Vancouver, and according to an article from municipalworld.com, when it comes to the housing crisis in BC, this issue does not apply to Vancouver only. This is also spreading to smaller cities such as Kelowna, Chilliwack, and some areas on Vancouver Island. These places have also seen worsening affordability. As for Toronto, Toronto itself ranked 10th out of the 94 market cities that are part of this survey. So it is pretty serious. In addition to the impossibly unaffordable, one level above that is severely unaffordable. And this includes the Ontario housing markets outside of Toronto, such as Cambridge, London, Waterloo, and other surrounding cities. Now let's look at the housing prices when compared to the income level in Canada. Starting from Vancouver, according to the data from WOWA.ca, the benchmark prices for average home sold in Vancouver is somewhere close to $1.2 million in August 2024. As for condo, the average price is in and around $842,000. As for Toronto, the average sold home price in August 2024 is somewhere close to $1.1 million, which is slightly below Vancouver, whereas the average condo price in Toronto is in and around $675,000, which is also slightly cheaper than Vancouver, but it is still expensive. So that's the average price of either home or condo in the top 2 most targeted cities for immigrants and newcomers in Canada. Now, let's look at the average income in these 2 big cities, which are the cities that are most popular amongst immigrants and newcomers in Canada. Starting from Vancouver, the average income in Vancouver is $70,128 annually, and that's gross income. And when you deduct the tax and you divide by 12 months, that would bring us to $4,240 a month. Whereas in Toronto, the average gross salary is $72,148 a year, which comes down to $51,407 net income annually. And when you divide that by 12 months, that would bring us to $4,283 a month. There is a gap between the average salary and the average housing or condo prices that I have shared earlier, and I think this gap is what creates the unaffordability at the first place. Number 2 is a job market crisis. According to StatCan, based on the latest data points as of July 2024, on a year-over-year basis, the unemployment rate was up by 0.9 percentage points in July, sitting at 6.4% nationally. Now, when we break it down further, the unemployment rate of recent immigrants, which is defined as people who had landed in Canada less than 5 years ago, was sitting at 12.6%. And when compared to the people who are born and raised here in Canada, the unemployment rate of this second group is actually sitting at 5.6%. So when we look at the data points here, we can conclude that the people who are born and raised in Canada are doing slightly better in these areas compared to recent immigrants who had landed in Canada less than 5 years ago. That being said though, I know that the government is taking action because based on an article by BBC that was released in August 2024, Justin Trudeau, who is the Prime Minister of of Canada has planned to lower the number of low-wage and temporary foreign workers who will be let into Canada. And first of all, the majority of Canada's population growth last year was actually driven by immigration. In fact, 97% of the population growth was actually driven by immigration. And on one side, the unemployment rate has actually shot up to 6.4%, as I mentioned earlier. This equals to 1.4 million people across the country who are currently unemployed. The hope is to ensure that Canadians are able to find a good job and prevent newcomers from being exploited in the job market. And this change has come into effect on September 26th. And this rule will primarily impact foreign workers, international students, and asylum seekers. That being said, I'm aware that some of you who are watching this video are already in Canada and maybe you're struggling to find a job. I have something for you that I think might be helpful. And for this, you can use Welcome to Canada, which is an AI-powered platform that's designed to help newcomers transition smoothly in Canada. It is developed by PeaceGeeks, which is a non-profit tech organization that's founded in 2011, and their mission is to help simplify immigration journey to innovative digital tools. And they're supported by organizations such as Accenture, BMO, Google, and Microsoft. In the summer this year, PeaceGeeks launched the virtual career coach feature, which is an AI-powered feature that's designed to help newcomers find jobs in Canada. And up to this date, over 100,000 users have benefited from this feature. So if you're job hunting, you can use the Jobs Near Me feature, which provides up-to-date listing that's tailored to your skills and career goals. Even better, every listing includes the National Occupational Code, making it easier for those applying for permanent residency to identify jobs that can boost their PR applications. Or if you need help with finding the right National Occupational Code or NOC for you, you can use their AI-driven NOC code finder. To use it, it's super simple. You just need to enter or paste the job title, description, or your past work experience, and the smart tool will find the right NOC code for you that can match your previous job in your home country to the Canadian one. And all of these features are free to use. Simply click on the link that I have in my description box down below or in the pinned comment. I am hopeful that you can benefit from these features. Number 3 is deteriorating healthcare. So according to a cited ranking of health system from Commonwealth Fund, Canada ranks 10th out of 11 amongst high-income countries when it comes to healthcare quality. We're only ahead of the United States. And based on my research, this is likely due to the fact that in Canada, the healthcare system is funded by something that is called a block funding. Under this system, any patient that is coming in a cost of the hospital, they will then be intensified to a ration care, which results in longer wait times. And according to Canada Health Coalition, over 1/3 of Canadians, or 40%, report that they or their family members have avoided being seen by any healthcare professionals due to stories and concerns about long wait times that are flying around or have been flying around here in Canada. I thought it would be worthwhile mentioning this because I know that a lot of people who are looking to come into Canada take the universal healthcare system in Canada as a key consideration when thinking about where to move or where to settle, because the reality is I think the government is still trying to improve the healthcare quality and also the overall healthcare operation so that it can operate efficiently and it can do what it needs to do for the residents here in Canada. And last but not least is the weather. I know that this might sound classic, but trust me, if you come from a tropical country or a country that doesn't have extreme winters or extreme 4 seasons, coming to Canada might be quite an adjustment for you. The weather can go up to 40-45 degrees in the summer, and in the winter it can go down to -47, -50 degrees depending on where you live. And this 4 season can really affect your lifestyle and your mood. So this is an important factor to consider when thinking about whether you should move to Canada or not. And I will say that from my perspective, Canada is still better as compared to many parts of the world. Some other parts of the world are not as developed, are not as liberal, are not as safe, or are not as accepting as the Canadian environment. And there are also other places that are more threatening physically or emotionally or psychologically, and those are enough reasons to pack your bag and move somewhere else. While it is really tricky or it's almost impossible to generalize why people decide to move from one country to another country, I will say that you gotta weigh your own pros and cons. For some people, this is an easy question and you'll find the answer really easily, but for others, it's not as easy as it might seem. And for me personally, I've actually talked about the reasons why I moved from Singapore to Canada in this video, so you can check that video out if you're interested in learning more in depth about my personal reasons as to why I decided to move. But for this particular video, I feel like I've shared what I wanted to share, so I hope that you find this video useful. And if you do, please don't forget to hit the like button and also subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. And thank you so much for watching. I will see you in the next video. Bye bye.